Hello, Tulsa. Welcome to Tulsa Uncut, sponsored by Titan Title and Pollard Media Co. We got some friends here today, and I'll let Trent do some introductions.
Yeah, we got Heather Jobe of IQ Organization, right? That's how you say it?
Yes.
Going to talk to us about basically reducing the chaos at home, right?
Try to, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you paid attention, our podcast last week was on mental health and kind of gearing up for the holidays, getting your mind right. And so Heather and I were having a really great discussion about how oftentimes your home life and the disorganization and chaos is a kind of a representation of where you are in your own personal space. So Heather Jobe, let's do this.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think organizing is a global pandemic right now.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Tell us more.
The organization industry is an $8 billion a year industry.
Wow.
And that was back in 2000, and it keeps growing like 10% every year.
Wow.
So there's a huge need for it. So I wrote down some random statistics that I was kind of shocked when I found them. But
I like stats.
yes, there are 300,000 items in the average person's home.
What?
Holy Toledo.
And on top of that, 1 out of 10 Americans has a storage unit. On top of that,
Just for personal belongings.
just on
Does a third car garage count as a storage unit?
This is on top of that.
Holy
So the storage unit is growing in the commercial sector like crazy.
I have a third car garage. It's full of like randomness. And I also have a storage unit.
You're part of that demographic,
I am.
my friend.
Although it's just my boat in there. But still, I have
That's
to
a
store
big
it.
item.
Yeah. It's one.
Yeah. Over the course of your lifetime, you will spend 3,600 hours or 153 days searching for misplaced items. Americans spend 1.2 trillion annually on non-essential goods.
What does non-essential goods mean?
In other words, it's things they don't need.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like just knicky-knacks and things of that nature? Okay.
Yeah. Things that are not essential to living.
Okay. I got
It's
it.
kind of the minimalist, above minimalist.
Okay.
Americans spend more on shoes, jewelry, and watches than higher education.
Okay. Well, guys, let's not be critical here. Because
No judging.
It's important to have a nice pair of shoes. Okay. I don't know about the expensive jewelry necessarily, but shoes are very important.
Exactly. Well, and the average American woman, it says, owns 30 outfits. In 1930, they owned 9. So we wonder why the mental health is getting worse.
Yeah.
We have too many options. There's too much. Or it's constant.
Is this why Steve Jobs went with it wasn't it him that does all the black, like the black t-shirts and the same outfit?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. So people are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And they're overwhelmed in life because we have social media, we have our phones with us constantly. Your house should not be a place where you're overwhelmed, and it is.
Okay.
And that's why organization has become more popular, because people having, there's now data out there. People have more anxiety. They have depression. It's been contributed to weight gain by having an unorganized home.
Wow.
It's the Mayo Clinic did a study where it actually raises women's cortisol levels by an unorganized home. So there's all these statistics about having an unorganized home, and I think people get it confused, organization and clean.
Okay.
Okay, those are two different things. A professional organizer is not a maid.
Okay.
They come in, they set up systems, they and teach you how to organize, how to go through all that, because it's overwhelming.
Right.
Nobody knows where to start, and I always thought it came to me naturally. Organizing did.
It does not come to me naturally, which, I mean, I'm going to insert my personal story here, but I bought a new home. I moved in.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
It's a beautiful
I
home.
moved in. Thank you. And it has this amazing pantry. Like you can walk in and there's pantry on both sides. Like I'm spoiled rotten. Like there's 2 sides of the party.
That is nice.
And a window. So it's bright and it's beautiful. And I moved in and just put everything there. And I actually called Heather and I was like, I need help. Like I don't, because she is like so natural. I didn't know she was doing organizing at that point. But I was just like, she's like super organized and I'm more not gifted in that area in some ways. And so anyway, she came over and she put everything into systems to where we're a year later, something like that. And I still find myself going in there in spare time or like when I'm cleaning the house and I'm still putting things exactly the way she organized it to be.
Really?
Like everything, since she came and did that, everything goes back to where she put it. It's the weird, and I can tell, what I love is I can tell when someone's been in my pantry that's not me. Like when my amazing mama comes over to stay, she sometimes doesn't put things where they go. And it's so cool because the system that she set up is so easy that literally I can tell when something's out of place that quick. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't go there. It goes on this shelf. So, I mean, I will say my pantry is still my favorite place.
And it's personal too. You know, I can't go into someone's home and organize it the way I organize my home.
Right.
Because you have to know their flow, their what works for them. So it's not going in and just setting up something because they'll never use it if it doesn't work for them.
Right.
But I think people get, you know, now we have all these shows on Netflix about organization, Marie Kondo.
Yeah. That brings me
Spark
anxiety.
for Joy.
Oh, man.
You know, if you're on social media, Kim Kardashian's pantry, this bitch. I mean,
is it crazy? I need to see
and
that.
everybody's like, oh, if I can't do that, you know, it's like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And they're so overwhelmed that they don't even know how to start.
Yeah.
Or what to do.
Those TikToks of like people organizing, like they'll like organize like they'll pull someone's junk drawer out. Everyone has a junk drawer or two.
You still have to have one even when you're organized.
Really?
Oh yeah, I have a junk drawer.
What is?
It's
I
an
wonder what
organized
that
junk
means
drawer,
psychologically.
Well,
You know?
everything has it's like a catch-all.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
interesting.
the things you use the most, I
Right.
think, is what I use it for.
Yeah, that's what mine is. It's more like scissors, pens, notepads.
Little hammer.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like my quick
Yeah,
Right.
little hammer.
lighters for the candles. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
random things like that.
Yeah.
Toothpicks.
Yep. You'll find like business cards in mine. Just
Yeah.
random stuff.
Well, and I, you know, like I said, I started, you know, I just did it for myself. And then I started helping friends do it. And what I realized is there was such a need for it because I thought everybody could do it.
Yeah,
I
man.
was like, I don't know what's so hard about it.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a
Easy.
label maker and I'm not afraid to use it, you know?
She does. She will label the heck out of some stuff.
That's
It's
funny.
great.
And I've always done, you know, and then my son, you know, he would live with me sometimes and then his dad sometimes, you know, after the divorce. And he would always say, you know, where is the, you know, toothpaste? You know, you need, and I'm like, it is in the container in the closet labeled toothpaste, you know? So he got used to that.
Yeah.
And people are like, why are you labeling that stuff? You know, but as I get older, and you know, dementia's like probably right around the corner. I'm really happy now that things are labeled because I'm like, oh, I forgot where I put that, and I'm glad I've got a label on it.
And now you know.
That's
Yeah.
probably
So it's come full circle.
yeah. Well, it's probably a good like way to think about it is you should organize your house so that a random person could live there and and get around and not be like wondering where things are.
Exactly.
That's a good way of looking at it.
And
Pretend that you're going to
people
get
think
dementia
it costs
tomorrow.
a lot to buy. Now, if you go to the container store, yes, it does cost a lot to get all their bougie containers and stuff like that. But what is it costing you to not be able to find your car keys when you're walking out the door?
A lot of time and frustration.
Or your briefcase or something, you know, and it makes you lose time and not be on time.
Right.
You know, people that are officing from home now, you know, you've got papers everywhere. You're less productive when you do that. There's, you know, studies that show that. So how much is it worth? Your time, your mental health? Because there's so much out there, and I think people realize this more so during COVID that you cannot control. When you're organized, it gives you some empowerment inside your home.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a refuge.
Yeah.
Your refuge should not be unorganized. It gives you peace and balance, and you can control that environment.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's all about.
Well, it's hard to focus and be productive outside of the home when you have it like in the back of your mind, like my house is.
People don't sleep well either if their home is
I bet there's all
disorganized.
kinds. Yeah, I bet there's all kinds of studies like that, and
Right.
it makes sense. It really does.
Although I will say, I did have a Heather Jobe moment. That's what I call it at
Is
my
that like an
house.
aha moment for
Yeah,
Oprah?
it
Heather
is, but
Jobe.
it's all geared toward organizing and things that kind of like what you're saying, because when you did come over, you did some consulting and kind of taught me some simple things. And I will say the other day I was a little disheveled in my own space, and I spent I'm not kidding, like half a Saturday in my closet, and I put everything where it goes, like did the whole color thing that I'll just put things random, but I did my color things. I cleaned back the top of the closet, put all my things, and you know what? I walked in there the other day and I was like, this is like heaven.
It feels really good.
It feels better.
Well, and
now I want to get dressed. No.
and when you're organizing, for me, it's always therapeutic for me to do it.
Okay.
It's therapeutic for me to clean too. It's like everybody's like, weird,
Yeah.
but it makes you present.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're only thinking about that task at hand that you're doing.
Yeah.
So it is a total mindset then that you're present in the moment. You're not thinking about everything else. So that helps mental health wise.
Yeah.
So how does one? Okay, so let's just say we live in a house, whomever. I know for me, it's like, where do I even start? Like, what room do I start with? Where do I start? How do I start?
That's the thing. You can't start. I think people get overwhelmed because they're starting with a room or a whole garage. Start with a drawer. Start with a drawer in your kitchen, and weed out all. You'll end up finding 20 spatulas that you didn't know you had. And that's the other thing. It costs you money when you're not organized because you keep buying the same thing, and you realize then you end up with 10 of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So start with just one drawer. And my, slogan, motto, whatever, is organization is a journey. It's not a destination. It is constant.
Yeah.
You don't just get organized once and that's it. I still have to constantly organize, reorganize, restructure my house.
Yeah.
Depending where I am on, in life.
Okay.
And then, the other thing that people, and it's hard to go in as an organizer because I know from doing it with enough friends, everybody gets a little panic stricken when you're going through stuff and you have a donate pile and you have a, keep pile and you need to do that, go through everything. And
that's not funny, Heather.
It is not. People literally almost hyperventilate when I'm going through it with them. And personal mementos. I mean, things that you have that your parents gave you.
Right.
Those are hard things to go through, and you should not go through them alone. Have a friend come over or a professional organizer because you're too attached to it. But, you can also take those things that you have from your grandmother and take them out of the box and incorporate them into organization.
You did that.
Yeah. So I have a dish that was my grandmother's dish. It's just a little bowl thing. And it was sitting in a box. And every time I'd move, I have all these boxes that I'm moving from one house to another, putting in storage because I'm never going to take them out and use them for decor.
Right.
And it's like, why am I keeping this stuff? Because my son's not going to want it.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to care about it. I don't even want it.
Right.
But it's like throwing away a Bible or something.
Right.
You just
Feels
you feel
weird.
bad doing
Yeah.
it.
Because it was grandma's.
Right. And the memories are all in your head.
Right.
They're not in that box.
Right.
You don't think about your grandmother by seeing that box of stuff. So I took this dish and it's a paperclip holder in my office now. So I'm incorporating the sentimental items with my normal items and organize it as a container.
I like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's easy to do.
Yeah. So just change the way you think about some stuff.
Yeah.
And I like how you said you're not just organizing, you're creating systems because it's like you said, it's not it's like a journey.
It is.
Yeah. If there's
and
no
once
systems
you're
in
organized, just from the friends that I've helped, they have kept it that way. They didn't realize how organization would change their life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then, I mean, I'm thinking like if your home life gets organized, then your headspace becomes organized, and then that transitions into your professional life becoming organized.
Exactly.
And your, Heather has some other tricks up her sleeve of her experience. So I'll let her introduce that. But I can say like she's very well organized professionally as well. Outside of just the organizing company, I've known her for how long? 7 years now?
Oh, quite a while.
And since I started in the real estate industry, and she's legendary in my world. Like literally the first time I saw her, I will never forget. She was wearing a whole white suit. And I was like, I heard her name and heard her name and heard her name. And the first time I walked into a Keller Williams office, she was at that time a mortgage loan officer, and she was sitting there. And I was like, I kind of like scurried past her. And the broker there was like, did you stop and say hi to Heather Jobe? I'm like, that's Heather Jobe. I know. I'm freaking out right now because she's like legendary. And she's like, oh my gosh, let me introduce you to her. And I'm not kidding. I was freaking out. I was like, oh, it's Heather Jobe.
That's funny.
But it's because she was super organized there. And so as I got to know her and see like this isn't just something she does, with work, like she really is that organized.
Yeah, it's in her DNA.
It really is in her DNA.
My dad was an engineer, so there is some of it that comes naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And there again, when I was, with lending, you have different types of loan officers.
Right.
And, everybody in sales is outgoing and, bigger than life and time. And that wasn't me. I struggled with that. I wasn't the person that could walk into a room and by the end of the night know everybody. But I had friends that were loan officers that did that. And I was so envious of that. I'm just like, I wish I could just master that.
Because they don't have to try.
They don't have to try.
Their personality.
It's natural.
Yeah.
It's organic, and it's just, so I thought, what do I have that is natural to me? And it became more of organizing the file, knowing the underwriting guidelines, getting a system down, and being very detailed, because usually salespeople aren't detailed. So that's how I got my business, was because I was so detailed. And then it kind of grew from there. But I had to take something that was a strength of mine, to make that happen. And then the sales came after that, once I started doing that.
So how does organizing, because you obviously can go into homes of people or whatever that can hire you to do the organizing. How does that translate into, like, let's say with a real estate agent, how could a real estate agent use your services as well?
Okay. Well, I just, did a home office for an agent. And they worked from, most of agents work from home.
A lot of them do.
Right. And they couldn't work. They were just frustrated because it was like, I know I need to do this and I can't get motivated to do this. And it was because they were so, everything was just all over the place.
Right.
There are times where I walk in and it's like, you want to hyperventilate looking at someone's, all this stuff coming out. You're just like, okay,
here we go.
Right. You're going to sit there and we're going to go through all this stuff, and it was just a lot of paper, and stuff that was all over the place, and file folders that they couldn't find anything if they tried. And that's not where they should be focused, on real estate.
Right.
So when they're organized, then they can do what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
Everything's in a system.
What do you say to people that don't feel like they're disciplined enough to hire you? And what I mean is, like, they hire you, you come in, they know you're going to create a beautiful system for all of their stuff, but they're scared that they're not disciplined enough to, like, keep it up.
I think those people have never been organized, so they don't know what it feels like to be organized.
Okay.
Once they are, they're like, wow, okay, this is so much easier to do it.
It really is.
And you really do buy less when you're organized.
Yeah.
Unless you know, for me, you know, if you professional kind of shopper sometimes, you know. And
shoes do not count, Heather.
well, I have found through enough therapy that, you know, when your therapist says, and what do we do when we feel that? Add to cart is not the right answer.
Yeah.
You know?
Amazon, late night Amazon.
No, not the right answer.
I have a time cutoff. Like, I'm not allowed to shop past this time because then it turns into a tragic mess. But she is right. As far as even like my pantry, I can walk in there and at a glance, I can see what I need from the grocery store. So, and it's also made me want to get systematic enough to where I do the Instacart thing now. Because I can literally stand in my pantry and in 20 minutes, I've got my entire list done because I can look and see. And my refrigerator, like I find myself going and doing my refrigerator so it matches my pantry because I hate grocery shopping. I genuinely hate it with a passion.
Man.
I don't want to do it. So now I can look and go, okay, I need chicken, I need milk, I need this, I need that, and walk in the pantry and go, okay, I'm out of this. Instead of making it a whole thing where
it's kind of like exercising too. You're never going to feel like doing it.
Right.
Nobody feels like exercising.
Right.
But you feel like organizing.
Well, and nobody feels like organizing either. You know, it's a habit. It's creating a new habit. And I think now with the time of the year, you know, everybody's, you know, looking to create new habits. Time of the year where everybody wants to start giving back and donating. And this is a good opportunity to go through those closets and take out the clothes that you have not worn for 3 years.
Right.
And that it is going to take 5 years for you to get back in that size again.
She just went there.
Bless your heart. You know, be realistic.
Right.
Let go of the college jeans.
Right.
You're not getting back in them,
or
sister.
that shirt that you're like, you know, I am never going to wear that. I paid a lot of money for it, but I am never going to wear that shirt.
And it's been rocking a tag.
I just need to be. I just need to get it out of my closet.
Or give it to a friend. Friends love when you share clothing. Just give it to someone.
And one trick that I do is when I have all my, you know, clothes hung in my closet in the hangers, and when I wear something and I hang it back up, I face it the opposite direction.
Whoa.
So that way, a month, 2 months, I know what clothes I'm wearing consistently, and I know which ones are filling up the space.
Okay, so it's hung up like this. You just flip it the other way?
You do it the other way.
Okay.
So after a year, if it's still facing you, you might want to, you know, get rid of that and donate it.
Man, that is...
So that's an easy way to do it.
That's really smart.
It's just things that you don't think to do. That's so smart.
But we feel good because we got a closet full of clothes and a armoire full of jewelry and all these shoes.
I like my shoes, Heather. Stop it. I like my, but I do have 2 pairs I do not wear.
Nobody likes shoes more than I do. I had an addiction to shoes. I you know, it was bad, and everybody always made fun of me because I took all my shoes and I put them in containers, clear containers, and then I took a picture of the shoe and I put it on the front of the container.
Oh my gosh.
I did not make fun of her, by the way. I adopted that system.
Did you really?
Yes, I most certainly. I'm not as cool as her. I don't take the picture of the shoe and post it on there, but I did go get clear shoe containers. After she did my pantry, I was inspired to be better. And so I adopted that. I went into her house and I saw this and I was like, that's a great idea. So I went and bought a clear, and so I do that.
And at first people were like, oh my gosh, she's so OCD. And, you know, it has nothing to do with that. It's just like, I want to know what shoe I'm going to wear because I had a lot of them.
And it protects them from getting dusty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is really good. And it also keeps them from being all,
and it looks pretty.
Wonky. Yeah.
It looks pretty.
I love it. Okay, so jumping into, let's do a scenario. Real estate agent has a client who likes a lot of things, what we commonly would call a hoarder, possibly.
Possibly.
We all are hoarders.
Yeah. So, I mean, but really, like, you walk in the house, the realtor's like, you know, we've got to list this house and it's completely bombarded with stuff. Is that a situation that you can go into? And
I've done that.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like in case there's a realtor out there who might be dealing with it and they don't, you know, I know agents are like, they can have the conversation, but oftentimes the client doesn't get it, and so they need like backup opinion or backup.
Well, it's almost like good cop, bad cop,
exactly,
too, because the agent doesn't want to go in and be like, oh, you got to do this and that,
right.
So it's a third person coming in that is the professional, stager or organizer or whatever, and they have no skin in the game.
Right.
So, the emotion is taken out of it at that point.
Okay.
Whereas if you're the agent with your client, there's still emotion. You still have to do that dance.
Okay.
So I did that with an agent. And at first, I was like, we need to get this. We went through the whole house. And there again, it was kind of like organizing. At first, you could see the anxiety on her face and, I got to get rid of that, the personal pictures and, the dead plant.
Right.
And she's like, well, it's got a sprig. And I'm like,
man,
put it outside, and she ended up liking the house so much after we decluttered it that she never sold it.
Probably not the best.
Sorry,
that is
agents.
not the best situation. It was also a huge home, and not there was a lot of other factors going on. But at first, she was a little offended.
Sure.
But then she told the agent, she's like, "I love it. I love it. I'm decluttering everything now in my house."
Mm-hmm. I'm sure the agent was very thankful for you at that point.
Yeah. That's a funny. I love that you told that story.
She's like, I mean, it's what happened.
If you want to lose your listing, just hire them.
Right. Hey, pick me.
I love that.
Great ad.
Lose a listing, but hey, they're going to feel mentally good.
I mean, hey, you love your client. There'll be another client another day. It's fine.
And that was the first time I had done it.
Sure.
So, but like I said, it did allow us to kind of play that good cop, bad cop.
Sure. And just imagining, as someone that's looking to buy a house and you're going to go, an agent's going to show it to you and you've been there and it's all neat and organized. It's like, oh, this is how I'll live here.
Well,
probably.
you take out all the clutter, that's the thing is people, they say cannot walk in. That's why you stage, is because you walk into an empty home, people can't envision it.
Right.
That's why they have people paint rooms from pink to white, because people cannot envision past what they're seeing. Yeah. So if you have clutter everywhere, they're not seeing the bones of the house. They're not seeing the potential because you've got it all covered up.
That's really interesting that you said that, because the same rule applies to your own home. Right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like we're talking about it from a real estate perspective, which goes, if I walk into a house that I'm looking to buy and there's stuff everywhere, but yet we let our own homes and our own spaces become that.
Right, because we become conditioned to that in life.
Right.
Everything is so many choices, social media, online dating, everything. You have all these options.
Yeah.
So, you've incorporated all that stuff in your house too.
Right.
You feel like it makes you successful to have all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When really it's just creating clutter in your mind and your space.
Yeah. I love when people come over and they're like, why don't you have any painting and wall art on the wall? I'm like, I don't need anything else to look at, guys. Yeah. Like, I'm doing good. Because it's the minimalist thing that really it's become
I've gotten into that a
really
lot more
relaxing
too.
When you come home and there's not a bunch of stuff and you're just like chilling.
Right.
There's not overstimulation, because we do live in a very overstimulated world.
Right.
So it's nice to have.
I don't have a lot of personal pictures. I do in my office, I have more probably, and I have a couple of my son, but I'm not one that has a ton of personal pictures. There's a few around the house that I keep.
Yeah.
So it's because we're on our phone. We see them all the time.
Yeah. Well, and taking pictures, so I do real estate photography, taking pictures of houses when there's not near as much stuff on the walls and more neutral colors and there's not a bunch of clutter and chaos, the photos look better.
It photographs better.
Way more attractive.
It's cleaner.
Yeah.
And you're listing it on MLS and we're getting, the market's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, that was something else Lori and I were talking about too, is, the market has changed so much. You can't just go and throw up a sign and it sells. We're not in that environment anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start doing some different things,
Right.
Because the market is the market and it's changed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are things people can do on their own, even if they don't have the great DNA of organization?
It's a blessing and a curse.
I mean, I think it's pretty amazing. I wish I had it as good as you. But what are some simple things that people can do to just, I mean, you had said start with a drawer, but outside of that, because I know I'm a person that I need to see, like I have to see it. Like a drawer, I'm like, I close it, it's not there, it's fine. What are some things people can do and apply, especially like we're getting Christmas presents coming in, we're going to have all these things and all the accessories. What are some things people can do?
They can start going through, if it, like I said, a drawer, cabinets, whatever. It's whatever, how much, some people can only handle a drawer at a time.
Sure.
But just doing that makes you feel like you've accomplished something.
Okay.
And if, the drawer, okay, you got the drawer done, let's go to the cabinets, let's start cleaning out the 50 novelty coffee mugs that we have.
No.
Not judging, Lori.
Thank you.
That we don't even drink coffee or tea out of. But they're cute and they're filling up space.
I mean, I do use my brass knuckle coffee cup. I do use it. Most
Do
mornings.
you?
I do. I have a hot pink coffee cup that my best friend got me, and it has brass knuckles. And I use it unless I have a friend over for coffee, and then I usually gift it to my friend to borrow for a cup of coffee because it's fun, because it's got brass knuckles.
And that's one thing, as I'm going through, the stuff of other people, it's like, how often do you use this? Well, I don't use it at all. Okay, well, how about we donate it? But I might use it. Okay, you're going to go buy another one.
Right.
You're going to buy another spoon. We're going to go to the dollar store and get another spoon for you. It's that I might use it in the future.
Yeah.
And they're never going to use it. You have to become almost a realist when you're doing it. Truly, am I going to use this?
Right.
Is it adding something to my life at the moment? Or, will it add to the future?
Yeah.
Most of us go out and just buy something new and it's changed anyway.
But I will say you're so good. You are so good at gently getting to that place, because I know that, like, I mean, again, going back to when we did it, like, it was like kind of therapeutic for me too, because you were gentle about it and you had that questionnaire thing, or like
I have sheets and stuff like that,
which helped me help her. Do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of gave me some tasks and some things to think about that's kind of like mentally prepping me, because I know it sounds stupid, but like there was some mental preparedness that I had to have for this, because it is letting go of things.
Right.
And we do want, I mean, we're like, oh, I might use that, because I'm notorious for, like, I get rid of something and then, I'm not kidding, like a month later, I'm like, if I still had that, I would have been using it.
Man, yeah, that happens.
Or the 50 bath bombs you have that are under the sink, and the soap, and it's got dust on the cover. The rose smells like grass. You're never going to use it. It's disintegrating. I mean,
Get out of my cabinet.
You don't even take a bath anymore. You're a shower person. Why are you keeping this stuff? Is what, I tell one person, I'm like, this
What
is
are you
crazy.
doing? You're like, it expired in 1982.
Yes. And that's just also it too, is there's so many things in our pantry. Our cosmetics expire. It's unhealthy for your face. It's unhealthy for your body. And people don't know the expiration dates.
Sure.
So I have a whole list of when to throw away what. You cannot use spices from 1980. They're not going to taste the same in your food.
Yeah.
But people keep that stuff.
They do.
So it's just going through and consulting them about it and saying, let's get rid of every makeup that's expired.
Did you guys hear that? What I heard her say is everyone needs to go through their cabinets and start looking at expiration dates. That's how you can start organizing.
Start with your fridge and you'll be amazed.
Right? Like the mustard expired 4 years ago. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's like that salad dressing can still
Or why do we
like
have
5 years ago for Thanksgiving.
Why do we have 3 bottles of ketchup?
That are half empty,
one's
all
half
of them?
empty, one's full. Yeah, one's
Yeah.
empty. Yeah.
And for women, it's makeup. We spend a lot of money on the cosmetic industry, and we hate to throw that stuff out, but there are expiration dates on them.
Yes, mascara, especially ladies, please be cognizant.
Foundation.
You should be changing that once a month just so you don't get eye infections.
Right.
Yeah. Once a month?
Really, I change my mascara once a month. I read in, I think a Vogue magazine or something, that you should change your mascara at least once a month. You need to change it once a month because it goes the in and out. And I don't know if you know what mascara is made out of.
I do not.
Would you do you know what it is?
It's made out of, I don't know. I wasn't trying to think of something funny, but I don't know.
Do you know what it's
made
made
out of?
Go ahead.
I've been told that it's made out of bat. Have you heard this?
Oh, bat feces. I've actually heard that.
I've heard that. Now, I don't know if that part's true. Anyway, I don't know. What'd you hear? Do you know?
I had no idea.
I'm going to need someone to Google that for me. But anyway, the point being...
We're not going to stop using it, though.
I'm not going to stop using it. Give me the feces. Let's put it on. But if you tell me I need to get it off I need a new tube of the feces once a month, I'm going to do that.
Right.
I don't want an eye infection.
Right.
How do you spell mascara?
I love him so much. M-A-S-C-A-R-A. Mascara. I was a spelling bee winner when I was young.
All right, mascara's ingredients typically include a carbon black or iron oxide pigment to darken lashes, a polymer to form a film that coats lashes, a preservative and thickening waxes or oils such as lanolin, mineral oil, paraffin, petroleum.
Is that fancy for bat feces?
Petroleum.
Yeah, can we just Google, is there bat feces in mascara?
Well, let's go to imright.com here.
Because we're just curious now at this point. We just want to know, what are we putting on our eyelashes?
Mascara made out of bat poop. It was literally, there's no truth to the myth.
Okay, so it's a myth. So we're just changing it because the oils get bad. Thank you, Trent, for helping us through that. You're the best.
Anytime.
Well, and also I think, I remembered I've always been a good purger, too, of stuff. It's come naturally. And not that I'm not sentimental, but I'm probably less sentimental on some stuff.
Sure.
My son, my ex-spouse, everything he did, we kept. There's a crayon line. It's we kept it.
Yeah.
And I'm going through all these boxes one day, and I'm throwing away all this stuff. And he sees me, and he starts crying. You threw away, and I'm like, it is a line on a piece of paper. I would like to think you have not peaked at your artistic ability yet, but it's why am I keeping this stuff? So, and I still have some of his stuff from, childhood.
Sure.
The stuff I like.
Only the masterpieces.
Absolutely.
Yes. Or you can,
but I just broke his heart throwing that away. And so I think people's sentimental items are the hardest to go through when you're organizing.
Well, and that's where the tote system comes in. Get a tote, and if it fits in the tote, it can stay. But if it does not fit in the tote, then either you need to purge part of the tote and decide what in there is not as important as this thing or this drawing of an amazing line. Because he may have worked really hard on that. But even my kids, they have the same thing. So they have a tote, and it's their tote. So it has their baby blanket, some of their kindergarten art, the cool ornaments that they made me out of plaster with their hand. And
to be clear, a tote is a
container.
Rubber container that has a lid.
Containers
I was 92% sure I knew what you were talking about. But
well,
it's also a purse.
It can be a purse.
Huh.
But so they have this because I'm not going to put that ornament on my tree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even the ornament of when I was in kindergarten that was on a piece of paper that's this little hand, I don't know, it's some poem. My mom gave it to me, and I have a tote of all my sentimental ornaments and things. So I cherish it, but it's not, it lives in my attic. Right?
Yeah.
And then I will say another thing going into Christmas, one thing that we do in my house, and it has nothing to really do with organization, and it has to do with I don't want all this stuff in my house, which I don't consider organizing. I don't know what I consider that now that I'm thinking about it. Might be.
Minimalist.
But I do tell the kids, hey, if you, we're going into Christmas, you need to fill. So every year they fill a cardboard box of stuff that they're not using. It can be clothes, shoes.
It's a good idea.
Balls, toys, whatever. Because Caden, he likes sports. So things that he's not using, playing with, touching, books, whatever, everything goes in there, and it's a hodgepodge of who knows what.
Right.
But they have to fill up a box before Christmas.
And it teaches them to give back to
Yeah.
the people less fortunate this time of the year that need it. And there was a statistic on that. British research found that the average 10-year-old owns 238 toys, but plays with just 12 daily.
This is why I don't feel bad when I behind my
Say
daughter's
no to
back.
your children.
Or behind her back, just like when I'm cleaning the house and I see something like a toy, I'm like, I'm just gonna throw it in the trash. She'll never know. I do that all the time. Sometimes my wife sees me doing that and she gives me that reaction that Lori's doing. It's like, what are you doing? Like, she's not gonna notice.
Yeah.
Like the McDonald's toys that they get.
Yeah. Sometimes I hope she doesn't ask for it so I can just like throw it in the trash.
My son had a separate room for all of his toys, and all the Lego sets and all that stuff. And half of them weren't even open. You know, he's in there playing with 2 paper clips. You know, and it's just crazy what we spend.
You know, let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about toys for a minute. So my kids are 13 and 15, and it's been like this for a hot minute. But I'm in this space to where I'm like, looking back on even the statistic that you said made me think even more about it. You know, unless there is a reason, like I get toys for young children with, you know, that have sensory, they're toys with a purpose. But like, why are we not spending more time creating fun experiences and things that they can cherish? And where did this even come from? Like, why?
With the toys?
Yes.
My personal opinion is toys became babysitters. Give a kid a toy, you don't have to play with them.
Yeah.
I'm busy. I'm developing my career. I don't have time.
Yeah.
You know, when I grew up, which was a long time ago, we played outside all the time.
Yeah.
You know, kick the can.
Till dark.
Because we didn't want to be in there with our parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we played with, you know, but now since kids are inside more and everything and in video games, you know, it's just like, it's almost like a don't bother me type thing.
Yeah.
Here's another toy.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an Atari. If anyone, hopefully most people know what that is.
What's an Atari? I'm just kidding.
Stop it. Hubert. I'm just kidding. I had an Atari, but I cannot even remember really playing it because I like you. I mean, I remember coming home, getting off the school bus. My cousins lived next door to me. And I remember we would get a backpack and we would go adventuring. Like, that's just what we did. I was in charge of snacks and toilet paper. Like, I always had like an adventure backpack that had
That's good to know.
The treats and the toilet paper. I mean, I was here to make sure everyone had what they needed, right? And
you're kind of still doing that at Brokers Opens.
Right? I mean, essentially, thank you. That is what I do, right? I've got the toilet paper and snacks, everybody. You're covered.
We're good.
But they were in charge of practical things. Like, my cousins would bring things like ropes and scissors and box cutters. Right. And like, we had things, and I'm not kidding, we would go in the woods and like make forts. And we did those things. Like, that was our, I don't remember having toys. I really don't. Like, I know I had like a Raggedy Ann doll and a Cabbage Patch, but those were not toys. Those were things that I slept with to make me feel cozy.
Comfort.
Well, everybody's gotten, like I said, the parenting has gotten so busy now that we don't want to spend that one-on-one time with, you know, the kids. We give them an iPhone. We put them on social media. And we do it ourselves. We're guilty of it as adults.
Right.
You know, instead of getting back to the basics and minimalist and spending time with each other, you know, that's why we have so much stuff, is because it's filling that need, which is really the human connection that we're really searching for. We're just buying stuff to fill it.
So we need to really take an inventory of our own selves and, you know, going into the organization process, but even just life in general. You know, what I'm hearing is like, take an inventory of stuff. Like, why do you need all this stuff? What is the purpose of this stuff?
You have to know the why, I think, before you start organizing. To do it.
Explain that.
Why is it important that I get rid of this stuff? What am I, you know, what am I feeling when I see all this stuff? You know, it's not just organizing, but it's like, why do you want your house organized? Is it going to make you on time for stuff? Is it going to make you feel better? Is it going to enhance your relationship with the person you're living with? what's the reason for it?
Yeah.
And then you'll figure out how to do it.
I like that. Trent, if you had to have something organized, what would your why maybe be? From a dude's perspective.
Like, are you tired of looking for your car keys every day?
Or think about the garage.
Yeah. I think it would just be like I would save time. Like I would save like on average probably like I'm sure I could do some math on it, like 17 minutes a day on average. I'd probably save from searching for something, looking for certain clothes when I'm trying to get ready. I think it would save me time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what my motivation would be.
And I organize businesses too, people's offices, things like that. What's functional?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not any good if you can't find what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah. Or like
it just
you said,
makes you frustrated.
You'll end up buying it again, like you were saying.
Right.
It's kind of like an organization coach. Like we need to figure out where the breakdown is, and you are so good and patient with that. So thank you for always being that way. But sometimes people just need rescue.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Most people.
You're really good.
Because sometimes I've done some job with one of my friends that's an agent, and we'll leave the house, and he's like, "You need to tone that down." It was a little harsh on him, and I'm like, I didn't think I was being that way, but he's just like, wow.
I mean, I'm a direct person, so for me, direct works.
I am too.
So I don't get easily offended. I'm like, no, I need someone to be like, but Laurie, you're really going to use that or wear that? Like,
right.
I've never once in my life seen you wear that color, and we've been friends for 7 years, but you have it. And by the way, it still has a tag, and that store has been closed for a year.
Right.
So are you really going to wear that shirt? I'm like, well, no, but I might want to. No, you're not. You don't wear floral print ever.
Well, and we're not going to wait 20 years for it to come back in style
Right.
again.
Yeah. So I love that. And how do people reach you? How can they? How?
Well, with lending, this was a side thing that I had never planned on doing. It started off just helping some friends, and then it, kind of led into other things, and I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
So developing, my website, I am going to start. I have my Instagram that I'm starting, that I'm going to start posting stuff on.
Nice.
And
so this is relatively new as far as you making it an actual venture.
Yes, because I've been a little busy in the mortgage
Just
sector
a little
of the
bit,
world
Hashtag
for
COVID.
the past 3 years. So it's taken a back burner for a long time.
Yeah. How thankful were you that you had organized systems in the mortgage process? How did COVID? How did that go?
I've always been a checklist person. So there again, everybody, kind of made fun of me for having checklists, but I never had problems before closing because I missed something. So that's huge for me.
Less falls through the cracks, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I don't like getting to that situation.
Yeah.
So it was to keep me sane. I had to do that up front. I had to have all my little checklists done.
Yeah.
And it's been huge.
Because files just were rolling in.
Yes. Yes.
COVID
and you
was a
have to
whole
have a
thing.
system.
Yeah.
You have to have a system.
It was really weird. People were like, COVID's shutting everything down. Everything's going to close. All the businesses are going to close. And I'm like, dude, real estate, we are losing our mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yeah.
And of course now, the market's changed with that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I bet you couldn't even get pictures. I mean, how was that for you?
For the experience for us was we had to figure out a way to never say that we can get there in 3 days. We had to figure out a way to shoot either same day or the next day, because if not, you'll just find someone that can.
Right.
So that was kind of our challenge.
And the market was so crazy. It's probably like, oh, we don't need pictures.
Yeah.
We're just going to list it and it's going to fly off the market by the end of the day.
Yeah. So we actually learned that, I don't know how many clients we have. We probably have around 700 or so. But I think during that time, we were probably only working for about 100 clients. And it was usually the highest producing clients who get pictures no matter what, because they use it as like, hey, when you hire me, you're going to have a professional photographer. It's like an experience.
Right.
They use us more, not just for photos, but kind of like, look how professional I am. Photographer comes in, a stager comes in.
An organizer
An organizer comes in.
Right.
Yeah, so because back then you could just go in with your phone, snap pictures, and sell it for $20,000 over asking. You know?
Back then, I still see that. I see that sometimes happening still.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. By fantastic, I mean it's terrible. I was looking at this listing with a friend of mine the other day. It was not their listing, by the way, but somebody was advertising their property. And it was a lot of cell phone photos. And you could tell that it was someone who probably is not well versed in the cell phone game. And so I want to be gentle about it.
Cell phone game.
I mean, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. We got half walls. We got we have 10 shots of the exact same thing in the exact same room, killing it. There, we have no idea what the master looks like, but we know what the closet looks like. And I'm just like, what is happening? And the closet, can I just tell you, was atrocious. It was atrocious, jam-packed full of stuff. And I'm like, what? What did we do? We have photographers.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird
And
thing.
And looking at that, it made you not want to buy that house, probably just because it was so crammed full versus if you saw a nice, pretty closet.
You couldn't see even if the closet was big. I mean, I'm going to be honest, because there was
probably huge.
There was boxes under, like, on the floor, and then there was like a trunk or a chest or something in the back. So I mean, you couldn't really catch the depths of
less is more sometimes.
Yeah, you couldn't see what it was.
And a lot of times a house needs to just pass the eye test so that someone does reach out to an agent and say, I want to go see that house.
Yeah.
Or if it's a turnoff, you might just keep on
I think
scrolling.
there again in real estate now, agents need to start being realists. We are in a totally different market. And what happened 2 years ago, where you didn't have to have any sales ability or be good at it, and you could become an agent because the market was so hot.
Right.
And that's when you're going to see a lot of the fallout, because people never had to develop skills when they got into the industry during that time. So,
I mean, that's a very true statement. And so we're hoping that, you know, as it progresses, you know, if you're not good at something or you don't have the tools, that you do reach out to someone, you know, that has those skill sets. Don't try to do it on your own if you don't know how to do it and do it well, because the market is becoming so competitive.
you're going to have to start giving value to your clients.
Yeah.
It's a different game. You have to start doing what you haven't done before.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to not be as easy to do it.
It's true. I mean,
And you have to adapt and pivot to the industry.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll survive. But you have to totally have a different mindset now.
Yeah. So it can start with organizing yourself. Get yourself organized so you can figure out what you need to be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And now, have you created the Instagram yet? Or you said you were about to?
I'm about to do that.
Okay.
So I took a brief break from lending to organize myself.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm not going to call it a midlife crisis because
No, we call it self-organization.
I already had one of those in my 30s, you know, because I'm an overachiever, and I didn't think I was supposed to have another one now. But I took a little break and got reorganized myself. So I'm getting, you know, back into lending, and yes, I need to do the Instagram and
get it moving.
And the Facebook page I'm going to do for IQ organization.
So just in general, people will probably be able to find your stuff when they just search IQ organization.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
I bought that domain name
I love it.
a couple years ago. And there again, that was one of the things this year. I'm just like, why am I paying for this if I'm not using it?
Right.
I'm either going to use it or not.
Right. For sure.
So.
Well, I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for the tips and kind of ideas giving people. I hope that going into the holidays, people at least take a little bit of this and start using this time. I know we get some time off, usually most places do, from work, and maybe just find yourself in a laundry room or a closet,
right,
or a pantry or a bathroom. getting a little bit more organized so that way you can start taking care of your own space and headspace, living space, and getting ready for the new year.
Yep.
So you can
And
make
I would,
2023
I go
different.
out and I'll, consult for free, I'll go to
Okay.
the house or whatever and, kind of
Assess
find
it.
out what they
Yeah.
want to do, what it's going to cost to do it, all that type of stuff. And same thing with agents, going out to their property
Okay.
and looking at it. And most of the agents I've worked with, some of them, they just take it out of their commission and pay me at closing. So it's not,
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's nice.
that's a benefit that there again,
yeah.
you have to have a value proposition to get clients. And it was something to say, hey, I have a professional organizer
Yeah.
that's going to come in and declutter your home before we list it.
Yeah.
That is part of my real estate package to you.
That's
what
cool.
I do for my clients. That is adding value
Yeah.
Okay.
that other people aren't doing.
And they can
You
pay
have
you.
to differentiate
So
yourself.
to the real estate agents out there, IQ organization will bill to closing if you need to.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That
Because
is
you
really
have to
awesome.
start being different and giving those things to
Yeah.
clients because we're all selling the same thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What makes you different as an agent?
So would a buyer's agent, if someone's buying a home, do they need an organized?
A lot of people that move, that's the perfect time to
Yeah.
organize.
As they're
Okay.
moving in. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Okay.
didn't think about that. Huh.
I'm a good purger right before I move
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't want to carry that many boxes
Right.
into this house.
So if somebody wants to have, their home organized or whatever,
As soon as they move in, that's the perfect time because
Okay.
everything's already out of the space. It's easier to see where things can go and flow.
okay. So that is really cool. I wish I would have done that. I think it would have made my life a little bit easier if I would have just started that way for
Yeah.
sure. Because I think my laundry room was my nemesis. You know that. We've had
Well,
this
and
discussion.
And people don't know where to put things. And you have a gorgeous home.
Thank you.
A big home. And I think we talked about this when we went through your laundry room. You don't have to use every cabinet. When you
I'm
get
one of those
get
people.
organized, you'd be amazed how much space
Yeah.
you actually have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have to fill everything in our home. That's why we buy so much. We have to fill every cabinet and every cupboard. And you had so much. I was so jealous of your laundry room.
Well,
But
you
every
should come
cabinet
back
I
over.
opened, I was like, oh, there is stuff in there. There's some stuff, just little stuff everywhere.
I will say I spent last weekend in my laundry room doing the Heather Jobe. I went
Nice.
back through it and and I did my towels and rolled them like the way you showed me. So I want you to know that like your efforts did not go to waste. Your services did not. I'm still being disciplined and systemed. So if you're like me and you're perfectly imperfect when it comes to organizing, I would strongly encourage you to have Heather come do a consult with you because I'm telling you, it really has made my life a little bit
And
easier.
it's not about, it's not about perfection or.
It's about functionality for me.
For me, it's about just keeping myself balanced.
Yeah.
And, it's hard for me to, I can't leave my house unless I make my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the first thing I did. I will be late, but I will make my bed
Yeah,
because it's done. And that's something at least I accomplished for the
Right.
day.
Yeah.
sure.
So you get into those patterns where you cannot work if it's messy or it's, you just can't think clearly.
Right. And I mean, that's the whole point. That's why we're kind of talking about it is, again, going back into trying to just simplify things. We're going into a different year. It's a new opportunity to try to make some better habits, better choices.
Different era. People are working from home now. People are quitting jobs and becoming entrepreneurs now. It's the market is changing so much where people are not going into the office.
Yeah.
So they have to have a place in their home.
Because I will tell you, working at the kitchen table is not productive, guys. Like if that's you right now and you're like, I'm actually listening to this while I'm sitting at my kitchen table and working, like seriously, if you've got a room, a space, I've watched Heather actually make a closet space into a small computer, like workspace.
Oh yeah.
Like
That's cool.
The
and
printers
so,
in there and
and it creates its own workspace. So I mean, like,
And it was probably wasted space before. Yeah.
it's like where people just shove blankets and shove stuff, and they're like, why do you need this extra? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, please, let's look at give 2023 an option to be super productive. And if you're unorganized, let's get you organized. Let's get everything in the right direction so you can start on the right foot. So perhaps maybe, I don't know, you could make a New Year's resolution and hold on to it, because you're self-actualizing yourself, you're getting yourself ready, and you're going to take on the new year, diligently.
And like I said, donate. We're all looking for tax write-offs. It's the time of the year where, we all talk about giving back, but, this gives us a reason to do it. Go through the house, give back.
Yeah. And
people
start
out there.
decluttering.
Yes.
I love it.
I do too.
All right.
Good stuff.
Well, we hope you guys have a fabulous Christmas. Christmas is on a Sunday, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
You got any great Christmas plans?
No. When you have kids that are older, they have other families and traveling around. So,
What about you, Trent? What do you got going for Christmas?
I don't know yet. I mean, I'm sure there's a plan, but I don't know it.
I love that. He's like, listen, I just show up when I'm told to.
Yep.
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's kind of how I live, yeah.
Well, I hope everyone has a great and happy Christmas. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this was fun.
And don't forget, if you want to talk about what you do, what you're passionate about, a little bit more about you, please don't forget to email us. Trent will make sure to put our email at the end of the podcast. But it was good seeing you guys. Thank you for joining Tulsa Uncut.
Yeah.
Heather Jobe,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
See.